Hey, happy day 8 of the Get Up and Go Challenge. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here with kind of a fun day, kind of a stress reliever and fun day. We are going to talk about what is your absolutely positive number one biggest concern, biggest challenge, biggest doubt, fear, or worry right now, right this very instant. Not 2 weeks ago, not 3 weeks ago, not a month ago, not a year ago, not next week, not this Sunday, what are you going to do for Easter? Right this very minute, right now. Or whatever else is coming up, but not next week, right now. So I want you to think about what is your biggest number one challenge. And we've been going through the challenge process, right? We did the long version, yesterday we did the short version. I want you to keep that challenge process in your mind throughout the rest of the challenge, because we're going to be using it enough that it becomes automatic for you, so that by the end of this challenge, you don't even have to think about it. You will just automatically run through the steps of the challenge process. I actually used it yesterday. I'm participating in the Rise Up Challenge because I love to do other people's challenges as well. There's actually 3 or 4 different challenges going on right now, and I do not have the time hanging out with a 4-year-old all day to actually participate in 4 of them. So I picked the one besides my own. I'm doing my own. That's my number 1 priority. My number 2 priority is to hang out and listen to the Rise Up Challenge. Now, why do I like this Rise Up Challenge? Might as well share that with you, because it's doing kind of what I'm doing with this challenge, but with a whole bunch of experts coming in and talking and discussing the same 7 topics that I talk about all the time. And we talked about on, I think, day 2 of this challenge, day 1 or day 2. We talked about physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, relationships, contribution, and financial. Those are the big areas of our life that we need to take into consideration all the time. And Pete Vargas III has set this challenge up around those same things. Maybe because we followed the same gurus and stuff, right? So we've learned these same setups and same strategies and same frameworks. And so that's the framework that I kind of set this up on, which is really the foundation of everything that I do, right? I set my challenge process, or the pivot process, on top of these foundational things. And we have to have something going in each of those areas. They don't have to all be awesome, but you got to at least pay attention to them a little bit, or they will get your attention. You know, I say that to me it feels like our world wasn't paying attention to some of those areas, more than one of those areas, and we've gotten this huge wake-up call. I found that in my past, I wasn't paying attention to my health, and I got stronger and stronger wake-up calls and messages to pay attention to my health. And it wasn't until my sudden cardiac arrest that I actually made the massive lifestyle changes that I needed to be making all along, but I wasn't paying attention. I was too busy doing the things I thought I should do and kind of running through my life. So we get those wake-up calls, but we don't use it. But anyway, my whole point was I'm using the challenge process. I used the challenge process to do yesterday's assignment for that particular challenge, which was kind of a hard one, but it goes to show you can use it for anything. And especially when I'm finding that I'm having difficulty with something, I automatically go to the process and I use it. So continue to use it throughout the challenge. Now today we're going to pick our one thing. What is the one thing that is giving you the biggest, most concern? My personal one would be movement and motion and activity and physical activity. I positively know I'm not getting outside enough. I'm not getting enough activity. I'm not moving around enough. I'm not doing enough physical activity, and I need to get moving on that. I've got pretty much the other bases covered that I feel have a certain level of confidence in each of those areas. So for me personally, I need to get my rear in gear and get moving. But what is the one thing for you? Maybe it is that you don't have enough toilet paper. Maybe it is that you can't get hand sanitizer. Do you have soap and water and bleach or anything like that? Think of things that you can substitute, but that doesn't matter. What is the number one thing, the number one concern? Maybe it's that you have no income coming in and no credit and no money, and what are you going to do, because you still need to be able to eat and live for the next month or however long this is going to last. What are some things that you can do? What can you do right now? Whatever your biggest concern is, I want you to write that down on a piece of paper, and then we're going to do a little exercise just kind of I still have not turned off that alarm, and how many days in a row has it gone off? Like every day. It's to remind me to get moving because my granddaughter will be here soon. So we're going to do an exercise from the Don't Sweat the Small Stuff workbook from Richard Carlson, because I think it's a really good one, and I love most of the exercises in this book. A lot of them I've done in other contexts. That's why it's a great reference book and a great one to grab. But we're going to do the exercise, I need my magnifying glass, on page 59 and 60, called Seek First to Understand. I kind of wanted to do one called Life Isn't, Everything Isn't an Emergency, but we'll save that one for comic relief down the challenge, because it is a really good one for gaining perspective, especially since everything in it is things that we used to worry and fret and think of as emergencies. And now after COVID-19, I think that we'll actually have different answers. So I'm looking forward to doing it a little bit down the challenge, because I think that my perspective and my response to many of those things that used to tip me over will be totally different. But we're going to do the Seek First to Understand exercise. I will take a picture of it and put it in the comments underneath this video. But it's just to give us a little more perspective and a little more understanding of things outside of ourselves. And how understanding are we, right? Sometimes I think that I'm really understanding and open-minded, and then I'll get slapped in the face with, I can't believe you just said that, Mom, or I can't believe you just said that, Sharon. And somebody will remind me that, oh, maybe I wasn't being as open-minded and flexible as I thought I was. So we'll do the Seek First to Understand exercise, and I want you to do that to help you take a step back and then start asking yourself and writing this down. You don't have to share it, but write it down. What is the story I'm telling myself about this number one doubt, fear, worry, concern that I've got right this very minute? If your business is shut down, maybe your biggest number one worry is, how the heck am I going to jumpstart my business? How am I going to get back into my business after being shut down for maybe a month or 6 weeks or however long? How am I going to pick up where I left off and start generating income, generating money again? Maybe that's your biggest concern. And then just start writing down notes. What are the thoughts and beliefs and the stories that you're telling yourself? What are the feelings? What is everything associated with that thing that is, really that's causing it to be your number one concern, your number one worry? And tomorrow we'll break those down into a couple different categories that I think will really help you to shed light on them. And then once we shed light on things, it helps us to more openly and easily consider options. So this is all to help us get through the pivot process, the challenge process, the change process faster and easier. So what are you going to do today? You're going to pick one problem. It doesn't have to be your biggest, most number one thing, but maybe it's just one that is bothering you. So pick the number one thing that you want to do this with, and then just start writing down and brainstorming what are the reasons that this is the number one thing on your mind. So for example, I'll do mine. I haven't done it yet, but I will do it. Mine is not moving enough, not getting enough exercise, not moving enough. I have a history of arthritis, and sometimes the doctors say it's rheumatoid, other times they say it's not. So guess what? The doctors can't even decide what's wrong with me, the experts. So I just go with what works for me. And I learned that over the years, if I move, if I keep moving, if I keep physically active, that it reduces my my challenges with inflammation and with arthritis. So I already know that I am having more trouble moving, and that's one of the indicators, and that's the story I'm telling about. And the story I'm telling myself is, hey, I know that if I don't move, I freeze up and then I can't move. So I need to move more. What are some other stories I'm telling myself about not moving? Well, if I don't keep moving, I'm going to turn into a 400-pound blimp because I'm eating things I shouldn't probably be eating, and I'm a lot less active than I normally am. So I don't want to gain a ton of weight during this quarantine period. So I need to keep moving. I need to move more. So you want to just brainstorm out a whole list of the things, just the thoughts and feelings that pop into your head when you think about this thing that you're concerned about. So mine, I'll sit down today just like you, and I will put on the top of the list, I'm going to probably put get your rear in gear, or get your ass moving, something like that on the top of my sheet. And I'm going to write down all the things that pop into my mind about that, and then we'll deal with those tomorrow. So just in the comments below, just write done when you've actually done this activity. You don't have to share it. It's nobody's business but your own, right? And you don't want to even necessarily have anybody else see it. Nobody needs to know what we're concerned or worried about. And then we'll probably burn it or something tomorrow. But we want to get it all out. Mostly we want to get it out of our systems and onto paper, because sometimes when we write things down, they lose a lot of their power. That's it. If you have any questions about what we're doing about this exercise, I'll summarize it in the comments below. Let me know. Just hit me up. Otherwise, if you have any overall questions about anything we've talked about so far or anything we've done, the challenge process, the change process, the pivot process, whatever you're calling it or want to call it, ask in the comments below, because I'm here to help. And then we'll decide when do we need to set up a Q&A, a live Q&A, and we'll do a live Q&A session in addition to this, just so that we can interact, we can do, make sure you get your questions answered. That's it. Have a fantastic day. I will, of course, be with you tomorrow. Bye.